Hello and welcome to R&D Mathematics. Today we are going to learn how to find the inverse function. Now in last video we talked about what inverse function is and also how to verify the inverse function. But if actually you want to find the inverse function, how are you going to do that? Now let's take an example and I will give you steps. 2x plus 4. This is exactly the last function we took in our last video. Now this is one-to-one. First of all, it has to be one-to-one. You can check this. It's a linear function, so it's one-to-one. So inverse exists. So the first step number 1, set y equals 2x plus 4. So instead of f of x, you write y equals 2x plus 4. And then, so this is the first step. The next step is interchange y and x. So what do I mean by that? So simply, instead of y, you write x, 2y plus 4. So that's the second step. Third step, what you need to do, solve for y. Now when I solve for y, x minus 4 is going to be 2y, because when I subtract 4 from both sides, and when I divide by both sides by 2, I get y equals x minus 4 over 2, right? Final step, replace y by f inverse of x. So actually at this point we are done, but on the final step you just need to call it f inverse of x, and that is f inverse of x. You can check by, how do you check? Well, that's last time's work, but let me do this again. You can check it by f of f inverse of x, and also the other way around, but let's just check this way. F of f inverse of x is this, and what fx does, see, 2 times and then plus 4, so 2 times whatever you throw, it will make it 2 times and add 4. So here x minus 4 over 2, this 2 will cancel, so you have x minus 4 plus 4, you get x. So actually this is the inverse function. And actually in last video, inverse function, last video, if you check my last video, this is the same example we took last, and inverse function at that time I gave you as x over 2 minus, let me check, minus 1 minus 2, right? Oh, actually 1/2 x minus 2. This is how we wrote it in last video, but this and this are the same. Can you see that? Because when I take term by term and divide this, see, x by 2 is 1/2 x and 4 over 2 is 2. So yes, that is the inverse. Now at this point I would like to make another claim. Now let me erase that part here. Yes, we can find inverse function like that, but there is another way. Last time I told you that I'm going to teach you 2 different techniques. So backward thinking. Now I warn you, this is good only if your mathematical skills are really good, so you have to be careful here. Now what do I mean by that? Let's have a look at this. So your function, let's see your function, let's take this over here. Your function f of x equal 2 times x plus 4. Now in order to get f of x, so what the machine, inside the machine, what you do, okay, you throw x. Now this machine comes out as 2x plus 4, right? So this machine makes your input into an output like 2x plus 4. Now let's investigate, let's draw the machine inside V. What happens here is multiply by 2 first and then add 4 first. So you throw x, you multiply by 2, so you get 2x, and you add 4, you get 2x minus plus 4, right? In order to reverse this, the first thing you need to do, minus 4, then you will be here, then divide by 2, right? So first thing, minus 4, so your f inverse of x is going to be, your variable is x, minus 4, and then whole thing divide by 2. See, if you can catch it, but I really recommend you to go through these steps because this is technical, easy to remember, it will work. But theory wise, this is nice if you can really understand it and do it like this is nice. But algebraically this is the way to do it. But again, as a mathematician, I really like this because it shows you what's happening. Now let's do more examples in order to understand this much better. How about this function f of x equal negative 3x plus 5? Now let's use our steps. First step, make y equals, so negative 3x plus 5. Second step, interchange x and y. So x instead of y, you just write x. That's the reason, that is because you are coming backwards. You need another variable. So now at this point, you need to solve for y. So x minus 5. So subtract 5 from both sides. You get this and you divide by 3. You get y equals negative this one. So f inverse of x is actually x minus 5 divided by negative 3. Or you can, term by term, negative 1/3 x plus, because negative divided by negative positive, 5 over 3. Whatever the way. Now let's use our thinking backward technique. Thinking backward. Now, so this guy, how does your function you break down? So when you throw your x into your machine, what happens in your machine is first it multiplied by negative 3. So you get negative 3x and then you add 5. That's how you get negative 3x plus 5. So in order to reverse it, what you need to do at the first step, minus 5. So your f inverse x, first step, see you have the variable, the first thing you need to do, minus 5. So when you do that minus 5, you are here, 3x. Then come back to x, what you need to do, divide by negative 3. So divide by negative 3. See, this and this are the same. I hope you understand that. And let's do one more example. How about this? Now this function 2 over x plus 3. Actually, this function is a little challenging because it's not linear. It's, you know how the graph of this looks like, reciprocal function, and using that you can actually draw this one if you want. So this is a reciprocal function. Now let's find the inverse, and this function, if you actually write down, if you actually write down the domain of this function, domain of f, everything except 0, sorry, everything except negative, sorry, everything except, yes, negative 3, because if x is negative 3, right here you will get negative 3 plus 3, 0. We can't happen that. So negative infinity all the way up to negative 3 union 3, sorry, negative 3 to infinity, that is the domain. And now let's use our steps. So set y equals this, and then what you need to do, interchange x and y, Now solve for y. Now in order to solve for y, you have to be careful here. So what I would do, cross multiply this. So x times y plus 3, I use parentheses, equal to, and then y plus 3, I again cross multiply or divide both sides by x, I get this. So y equal to over x minus 3. Now, this is your function. See, this is your inverse function. Now, okay, so I actually really recommend not to do this thinking backward in a problem like this. I recommend you to use thinking backward only if your function is linear. Otherwise, go with these steps. But in order to improve your thinking skills, I will show you how to do this. Now, if you break down this, your x, what first will happen is you add 3. So x plus 3. Then, so let me write down, add 3. This is the first step. Then you invert it. Invert, or you upside down, or reciprocal upside down. So you get this. Then you multiply by 2. So you get 2 times x plus 3, right? Now in order to go backwards, starting from here, in order to go backwards, so you have to first divide by 2 because you multiplied it by 2 at the last step. So f inverse x going to be x over 2. You know what, let me write it like this. So at this step it's x over 2, and here you inverted it, so you have to invert it back. So 2 over x at this step, and finally you added 3, so you have to subtract it. So 2 over x minus 3. See, same thing as here. But again, I think you guys can understand. If you tried it, pause in my video. If you tried it, you will have noticed that this is not the easiest to think, but again, this is a nice exercise to improve your thinking skills. Now I think that's enough examples to give you the technique. This is the technique that we learned. So you set up y equals, and then you interchange x and y, then you solve for y, and you call it f inverse. Simple as that. And in the next video, we will be doing this again with some other functions where you may have to do something with the domain. Okay, that's enough for today's video. Thank you.